I'm actually a baptized Anglican. I was born just outside of London. I was 4 months old when my parents came to the States, but before they left, I was baptized in the local parish just outside of London. And across my lifetime, been in youth group, grew up outside of Columbus, Ohio. I was involved in something called Canterbury, which is sort of the Episcopal Church's version of RUF. And since we came down, my wife and I, from Chicago in '94, been active members of All Saints Episcopal Church by campus. Kids, I'll tell you more about them in a second, were baptized there, and unfortunately, my wife's ashes are interred there, which is a big part of the story. So that's kind of puzzle piece number one. Puzzle piece number two is meeting Maureen and our kids, right? So she was born in Belgium. We met at Apple in Chicago in the late 80s. We moved here in '94 together. All three of our children were born here. My oldest son, Taylor, graduated a year ago, master's as well as 4-year undergrad at Virginia, happily married for over a year and actually a member at Redeemer in town. So I have my son back in town. My middle daughter, Kyla, is a 4th year at University of Virginia. And then my youngest, Caitlin, who figures into another puzzle piece here in a minute, and the reason we're at All Saints, just started her freshman year at TCU. So, next piece of the puzzle. Caitlin is a really important piece of the Maureen puzzle and breast cancer. So, my wife was 3 months pregnant with Caitlin. We're in for an ultrasound. We're hearing the heartbeat. Like, this is cool. And we also have an obstetrician saying, that lump in your right breast does not feel like a lump should feel like in a pregnant woman. So off to get a biopsy and diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, being Christian, you know that God's watching over all of this. Maybe not wishing cancer on anybody by any stretch of the imagination, but it was the exact right trimester for a mastectomy. Chemo was the right trimester. Caitlin was born 1 week after chemo ends. 1 week after Caitlin's born, Maureen starts radiation. So, fast forwarding, with limited time, Maureen was dealt with breast cancer for about 11 years. She was an architect. So Jody, we were talking a little bit earlier about where I lived out in Spicewood. We built a home in '97 that Maureen designed. So after Maureen passed in October of 2014, we stayed in the house for a pretty long time, right? It was a way to have Maureen wrapped around us as a family. So, another piece of the puzzle. The next puzzle piece is Taylor and Kyla at the University of Virginia have found RUF. My son, smart like me, when he met his now wife, realized that she was Presbyterian and followed along, as a good young man should. But they had found RUF, right? And so it's about 2 years ago, and Christmas Eve, that they go, well, Dad, we know about this All Saints. They'd heard about it through some of their classmates, right? So we come. So another piece of the puzzle, how this all connects. Then the other piece of the puzzle is Caitlin, right? So the thing that's amazing about Caitlin is she was in 4th grade when her mom passed. So all three of my kids are students at St. Andrew's Episcopal School. And so she's doing some religion podcast project for class. So she's interviewing me and we're talking and we have a moment. She goes, Dad, you do realize why I'm not as churchy as Taylor and Kyla? She goes, well, I prayed in 4th grade to God and Mommy still died. And so, pretty powerful moment, right? So it's Christmas Eve a couple years ago, and it's close, right? We sold our house, we live in William County, Southwest Parkway. They're like, Dad, we don't want to go all the way into town to that beautiful church that they were all baptized in. Can we just go around the corner to this All Saints Presbyterian we've heard of? Like, sure. And so as we're coming out, beautiful candlelight service. I mean, just amazing, beautiful space, beautiful people. We may not have saints like the Catholics, but we do have beautiful people, and they gather in All Saints Presbyterian. She looks up at me coming out. She goes, Dad, can we come back to church on Sunday? Well, I guess I'm a Presbyterian. But in all seriousness, right, that moment, I think, now of course she's up at TCU and getting involved in RUF herself, but I don't think we missed more than 3 Sundays. And a couple Sundays that were like, overnight birthday parties at somebody's lake house or something, I'd come out of church and call her just to check in, and she goes, "Wasn't that a great sermon? You watched online," right? So that's what All Saints means to us, right? It's renewed my own faith walk, right? I mean, losing your wife, kind of hard. It's something my son observed that you're so magical at, and all the pastors are so magical at, is preaching from the Word. And so that's been a really powerful part of the All Saints experience for us. Wednesday morning Bible studies, right? I mean, we see each other and see each other at that, which is refreshing. And then your 2 membership classes. One of the things that struck me, Tim, was I did 2. I'm a slow learner. They weren't exactly the same. And I'm thinking, this dude's busy, right? And like, you did new stuff. And really helped me understand my relationship with Maureen as she sits in heaven, right? Because we're brother and sister when we get there. We were married here. There's all these nuances of our place. And for as beautiful as the spaces we're in now, which I love worshiping in, just seeing the models, and knowing what's coming, it means more beautiful people, our saints, will have a place to come on Sunday together, and more people to experience what Caitlin and I have experienced being part of All Saints. So.